In today's video, I'm bringing you 10 facts about Gilgamesh from the Fate series. Coming up. What's up there and welcome to a brand new video on 414 Anime. In today's video, 10 facts about Gilgamesh from the Fate series. And hey, if you're new here, why not join the 414 community by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out. And a quick warning, this video may contain spoilers, so if you're not all caught up, then please come back later. But before I get into the facts, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by smashing that like button. Let's see if we can hit 25 likes on this video. So that being said, here are the facts. His title, King of Heroes, implies that he is the king over all heroes. He is mankind's oldest hero, the origin of all myths, and a model on which heroes are based. So his story is said to be copied within the mythologies of all the countries in the world. The heroes of various myths are born from his legend, so his Gate of Babylon possesses all of their noble phantasms. And though there are kings with titles such as the King of Knights or the King of Conquerors, he is the only one in all of heaven and earth crowned with the title King of all heroes. Gilgamesh is a half-god, half-human king, born from the union between the king of Uruk, Lugalbanda, and the goddess Rimat Ninsun. He ruled the Sumerian city-state of Uruk in the BC era, and was the ultimate transcendent, being so divine that he was said to actually be 2/3 god and 1/3 human, and no others in the world could match him. He possessed high divinity, believing he was invincible. Gilgamesh encountered Enkidu for the first time outside the Temple of Uruk, and this guy would have a huge impact on Gilgamesh as a whole. On their meeting, Enkidu immediately stated that he would reprimand the king and rectify his arrogance. They then entered a battle that spanned over several days, and Gilgamesh was actually forced to use all of his strength to match his opponent, which was a first for him. He became angered and surprised at having found his equal for the first time, insulting Enkidu as a clod of mud. He was forced to draw out his treasures that had been carefully stored away, marking the first use of the Gate of Babylon as a weapon, and although he was reluctant at first, he eventually began to enjoy it and brought them out without regret. Gilgamesh became the greatest and richest king on earth, who eventually acquired all the treasures of the world. Uruk became prosperous, and Gilgamesh was considered so powerful that even the gods could not ignore his existence. One goddess, Ishtar, the goddess of fertility, even fell in love with him and proposed marriage to the perfect king. He of course rejected her immediately because he knew her to be a witch who was unfaithful, cruel, and the corrupter of all men. She then became furious, feeling that he had insulted her, and went to her father, the god Anu, to get revenge and begged him to unleash the Bull of Heaven. The Beast of the Gods caused 7 years of starvation and destruction on the earth. Working together, Gilgamesh and Enkidu defeated it after binding it with the chains of heaven, causing the dark clouds covering the world to fade and saving the land from the flood. Ishtar's reputation was once again crushed, and her fury did not dissolve. She requested they be put to death for the sin of slaying a beast of the gods. Following this, Enkidu slowly weakened and was returned to clay. As Gilgamesh desperately held onto the crumbling clod in his arms, he was angered by this, believing that he was the one who deserved retribution should it be required. Enkidu attempted to satisfy him by telling Gilgamesh that he was only one of the many treasures in Gilgamesh's collection, and that he would find countless more greater than him in time. Gilgamesh instead declared, "You do not have worth, you alone have this worth. I hereby declare, in all this world, only one shall be my friend. Thus, not for all eternity shall his worth ever change." Enkidu then returned to his original state afterward, leaving nothing behind but Gilgamesh's thunderous cry. Gilgamesh lived by his own standards, collecting riches, bedding women, fighting with his friend, and purging the earth of its annoyances. With Enkidu returning to dust, seeing his friend's death, this greatly changed his views. Death had never inspired grief or fear in him until that moment, and it had never once even been in his mind, though he knew that it awaited all beings. Seeing the one who held equal power to him perish before his very eyes kind of registered the reality of death for the very first time. The despair that Gilgamesh felt was because he saw death as an escape from his duty as the observer of humanity. In order to fulfill his mission completely, he was to observe humanity's path until its eventual end. Falling into depression and with his vigor gone, he sought out the Herb of Immortality, which was a spirit herb of youth and eternal life. Gilgamesh eventually reached the realm of the dead and found upon meeting with Utnapishtim that his form of immortality was not actually that special at all. He told Gilgamesh a method of becoming immortal without seeking the mercy of the gods, which was the herb that grew in the deep. Though Gilgamesh would not consume it himself, as he would only become a plant, he collected it as a rare treasure to decorate his vault. He then jarred the herb and returned above ground. Gilgamesh decided to rest at a spring close by to recover from the fatigue accumulated over the decades of searching for the herb. He then experienced a certain feeling that he believed to be his first true feeling of joy. It was then that his carelessness caused it to be snatched away from him by a serpent that crawled in the wild. The snake with an empty stomach was drawn in by the herb's smell. The snake then gained the ability of shedding, this being the restoration of youth instead of that of immortality. All that was left was its shed skin. Gilgamesh was then struck with laughter at the event. He laughed at his own foolishness until his sides ached. Gilgamesh then eventually returned to Uruk, marking the end of his adventures. He governed Uruk as the ruler of heroes and brought it to completion. He later also returned to the deep to retrieve the herb once more, simply to complete his collection. And the skin that was shed by the first snake in the world in ancient times was later fossilized and remained in existence for years, before eventually being used as a catalyst by Tokiomi Tosaka to summon Gilgamesh as archer in the Fourth Holy Grail War. Gilgamesh is extremely arrogant and selfish, believing himself to be the only king of the world, even many years after his death. He can't acknowledge the authority of anyone, including that of other kings and especially that of the gods. And he considers all those around him as inferior due to this fact, viewing all other kings and heroes as a collection of mongrels. Though he does take a great interest in Saber and her ideals and proposes that she becomes his wife, he becomes excited by her stubbornness, believing there has to be at least one person in the world to deny him. Should Gilgamesh actually obtain her, he comes to realise that the outcome is not actually very satisfying. He would only feel disappointment if he ever managed to have her, because she only shines brightly to him when she's opposing him. Gilgamesh is the most powerful servant in both the 4th and 5th Holy Grail War and the strongest heroic spirit. He is placed into the Archer class because of his main noble phantasm, the Gate of Babylon. It grants him access to all of the world's treasures that he's collected during his life, which includes prototypes of other heroes' noble phantasms, and he can launch them as the strongest arrows towards his opponent. While he may sometimes choose to wield them as regular weapons, he mainly fights by raining down an infinite amount of weapons on his opponent. Gilgamesh's ability against heroic spirits is much greater due to the versatility of his weapons, allowing him to expose the weakness of any servant. Physically, he's probably about as strong as Saber or Berserker, if not slightly weaker. But the main reason for his overwhelming power comes from the sheer number of noble phantasms in his possession. All heroic spirits have things that they are weak against in life, and he possesses all of them, including those that actually killed each hero. Because he has such an advantage over most of them in combat, he can be known by the name Servant Killer. He normally wears golden armor, which he materializes from magical energy, much like Saber's armor. It is extremely strong to the point that Shiro initially assumed that this was his main noble phantasm. It has a strong natural magic resistance and is durable enough to block Tsubame Geishi and numerous strong blows from Saber, simply by protecting his head with his hands. He eventually stops playing around despite his armor not being in any danger of giving out to her attacks, though Shiro believes she would have been able to slash through it if she was to relaunch her barrage of attacks. But thanks for watching. This was my video 10 facts about Gilgamesh from the Fate series. If you want more anime fact videos, anime subscription boxes, figure reviews and more, hit that subscribe button right now. If you found value in today's content, hit the like button, share this video with a friend, or leave me a comment in the section below. I'm on social media too, so let's connect over there. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Take care.
Lelouch V. Britannia commands you.